What's up everybody, my name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon, the crypto universe. Today's Tuesday, November 18th. Now in today's dog video, I'm going to share with you that this recent dip that we just saw in Bitcoin's price, we saw massive accumulation for Bitcoin, but more specifically dog Bitcoin. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and share with you the active wallets within the top 100 that accumulated during this recent dip. But also I want to share with you how dog is going to win regardless if the market goes up, but more specifically, even if the market goes down. I will share with you why dog has a chance to flipping Bitcoin and outperforming Bitcoin based on historical data. So let's reveal all this data that I want to share with you, and so that you get a better understanding by the end of the video. So let's get right into it. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X. Please be careful with any of the scammers down in the comments below. I'll never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email. So please be careful and invest safely. Guys and girls, let's get right into it. So right now, dog Bitcoin is roughly around 130 million market cap. When it's low, roughly around 122 million market cap. That's pretty low. But the reason that dip happened is because we saw that Bitcoin took a massive dip too. Can you believe it? We were back up to 93,000 US dollars, but this recent dip that we just saw, how far did we actually go? Ladies and gentlemen, we went down to 89,000. Now, a lot of people thought this is the very first capitulation event, that we were heading into a bear market, but nonetheless, we saw a bounce. Now, there's a reason for this massive accumulation and why this possibly was one of the biggest fake outs that we've ever seen. But let's look at the altcoin, aka meme coin market. As you can see, dog Bitcoin's still at around 244. And most of the meme coins are in green, just over the past 24 hours. But I want to get into some other things, which is the altcoin season index. So if you're paying attention, have you noticed that we actually been trading sideways for almost close to a month right now for altcoin season? So we haven't gone up or down. We just been kind of stuck in the middle. Now, when I see this, the first thing I want to pay attention to is Bitcoin dominance. So if we go over to this chart right now, Bitcoin dominance, we're seeing that it's actually kind of falling. So it used to be right around here, but it's now falling. It doesn't guarantee that we're actually going down, but this is actually quite interesting. I'm actually kind of wondering if we actually experienced the Bitcoin top and that altcoin season actually has begun. Because right now it's kind of looking like we're forming higher lows and also lower lows. And if you're paying attention to this, this could be a potential for the MACD to flip bearish into the Bitcoin dominance and flip bullish into the altcoin dominance. And the reason I say that is because, listen, if you look at the short-term holder supply and profits, this is Bitcoin, okay? This is not altcoins, this is Bitcoin alone. We saw one of the lowest ratios in history. This is the largest liquidation of short-term holders that hold Bitcoin. So because we've seen this before, what have we noticed in the pattern of Bitcoin's price, which is up top? So every time we see a green line or a green box, which is the short-term holder loss, you can see that Bitcoin's price multi-months after, the Bitcoin price goes up. Same thing happened over here, and the Bitcoin price goes up and it meets the top. Then we saw another box, Bitcoin price goes up, meets the top, and you can see that this pattern repeats over and over and over. And we're seeing now the lowest in history. So this to me was an orchestrated event by market makers and also big players out there that want to find a way to liquidate Bitcoin's price, get people to sell their assets of Bitcoin, maybe back into stable coins, so that they can buy back in at a cheaper price. That's just how the strategy works. I want to pay attention to the stable coins on exchange reserve. So this is all the exchanges, this is all their stable coins. And as I mentioned before, there is a ton of stable coins sitting on the sidelines, the most that we've seen in history, that really is ready to deploy into any crypto asset. I think mainly this will go into Ethereum and Bitcoin for that matter. Now, another thing I want to share with you is the amount of buying power that's ready on Binance. So this is Binance's reserve if you have not paid attention. So remember, I showed you the chart where the stable coins across all exchanges were laid out. Well, this is just Binance, and Binance has massive liquidity ready to deploy. Now, we saw this dark section. This is a lot of stable coins right here in early 2021. So when those stable coins were ready to deploy, after people maybe got their stimulus checks during the COVID, they deployed it. And then you saw a massive amount of the crypto market just pumping. It didn't matter which altcoin you had, everything was going up. And then there was a major sell-off of those major cryptocurrencies back into stablecoins. That's why you see that large spike right there. Then after that, we experienced a massive bear market within altcoins and Bitcoin for about 2 to 3 years. And now we're back on. Now we're kind of seeing what we could see, which is right over here in early 2021. Remember, I just showed you an image of short-term holder ratios that are at a massive loss that reach new record levels at their lowest. And because of that, you saw saw major whales buy into Bitcoin. They bought the dip. Here's another one. Here's a great example of the Bitcoin 30-day demand average. And this is from Cryptolution. So like I said, the short-term holders are selling, but the long-term holders are buying. And this is a massive buy below even 90K, even below 100K. This is the most buy orders that we've seen so far. Here's another image just to prove it from Bitwise, one of the major hedge funds out there, from Glassnode. This is a major spike in buying interest. There is a reason why this is supposed to happen. They want you to sell your bag. They want you to be convinced that when Bitcoin's price, which is its black line, is going up, they want to figure out a way to get you to be convinced that the narrative is that bears are coming in, we're heading into bearish times. Remember, narrative follows price, not price follows narrative. So when people create a narrative around the price, it's just a narrative. But regardless, narrative around bears are taking over, that we're heading into a bear market, is completely foolish in my opinion. Now let's talk about other whales, like for instance, buying dog. So just over the past 24 hours, ladies and gentlemen, we actually saw over 292 million dog tokens in net accumulations. Okay, so this is crazy. So only negative 31 sold, but 292 were bought up to absorb that negative 31 that was sold off. This is just the top 100 wallets, by the way. This isn't the entire 90,000 plus wallets that are out there that hold dog, and also the other wallets that hold dog on exchanges. So don't be fooled. Smart money always buys on these dips. So here's the last image that I want to share with you before we get into the charting analysis. So just imagine that we aren't in a bull market, that this isn't a fake out, but maybe this is really a bear market. Well, nonetheless, you're still going to win as dog army. So I'm not going to read this whole diagram, but what I paid attention to is that when dog outperforms Bitcoin's price, dog is the blue line, Bitcoin is the orange line. You see that dog Bitcoin priced in Satoshis, aka sats, is worth more and outperforms Bitcoin. It's already happened twice before. The last time that Bitcoin outperformed dog was right over here. As you can see, Bitcoin was up 73%, while only dog Bitcoin was up 25%. Now the reason I bring this up is because, have you noticed that with Bitcoin's price, it started going up in value, meaning Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin price was actually outperforming the altcoin market. So ever since the beginning of January, this is after the Trump token was released and we saw a major capitulation of every single meme coin out there. Well, guess what? Bitcoin experienced much of a dominance and Bitcoin's price was going up. So we need there to be Bitcoin dropping in value. Why? Because at some point or later, you're going to want to sell your dog and rotate it back into Bitcoin. So say for instance, if you look back over here, if you had just taken your dog and maybe put some, if it's 25% into Bitcoin, or maybe over here, 25% of your dog back into Bitcoin. Well, guess what? If you wanted to buy dog now with your Bitcoin, you could, and eventually your Satoshis would eventually flip back above Bitcoin's price. And so do you understand what I'm saying is that you can rotate your funds with dog and Bitcoin because they're priced in Satoshis. So eventually, if there is a bear market for Bitcoin, well, that leaves a great advantage for dog Bitcoin to surpass and flip Bitcoin's price in Satoshis. So you can rotate your funds. And this is why I think if Bitcoin goes down, I think meme coins and altcoins can actually do quite well, because we've seen Bitcoin go from 60,000 to 124,000. And I really think that altcoins need to catch up to that, meaning altcoins, we haven't experienced an altcoin season, but maybe this is it, where altcoin season begins and we see specific blue chip altcoins, aka meme coins, if it's the top 100 out there, will actually outperform Bitcoin's price. I don't think every altcoin and meme coin is going to do well, only the top 100 blue chips. So another thing I'm going to share with you, this is the Bitcoin dominance. And this is actually important because this is dog compared to Bitcoin dominance. Okay, so if you can see, dog Bitcoin priced in Satoshis has actually been losing value ever since Bitcoin dominance has actually garnered more dominance, if that makes any sense. Eventually, we're going to see something like this where dog actually surpasses Bitcoin's performance, but we haven't seen that just yet. Remember, right over here back in January, we saw that the Trump token, the meme coin came out, everything capitulated. So eventually, this is going to have to break out, and that'll actually be very positive for dog. Now, going over to the dog chart, regardless of what you've seen, the volatility of Bitcoin going down to almost 89,000 and the altcoin market bleeding, I'm seeing dog Bitcoin still heading upwards on this MACD. It has not changed as of yet. So could this change by, say for instance, December 1st when quantitative tightening ends? Could this change by December 10th when everybody thinks that there is no rate cut? The reason I think a no rate cut could actually be very bullish for dog Bitcoin and the altcoin market is because every single rate cut that we've had in October and September actually reacted for the dog price actually going down and the altcoin market going down. So maybe this could actually be the catalyst that no one saw coming, or these two right here could be the white swan events. And a white swan event could be anything but these two events. A white swan event is something that nobody sees coming. So hopefully this information is very helpful for you. So as always, I'm always very bullish on dog. I hope that this analysis has helped you understand that this recent dip, whales have not only been buying Bitcoin, but they have been buying dog. Stable coins are sitting on the sidelines and they're deploying as we speak. And I guarantee that if Bitcoin goes down even more, I know that these stablecoins will deploy as much capital into Ethereum, into Bitcoin, and you can sure as heck guess that dog Bitcoin will lead possibly in the altcoin market, because the altcoin sector is looking like it wants to start altcoin season. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I cannot wait to read them. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and updates regarding dog and moon. Till then, see you guys and girls next time.